Interesting, with all of that, I never saw another side of him. He was a good guy. But he did say to me once that, well, if you just, some paraphrasing him badly, you know where you got her from, so bring her back if, you can't get along. But when we got married 2 years after we moved from where we had initially moved to Georgia, and one Saturday morning we woke up and he was parked in front of our apartment where he had driven all night, hundreds of miles, just to check on us. And so when I saw him out there, I said, Frankie, come on in. He said, no, I'm okay. So I'm saying, well, so he just drove there, parked in front of our apartment, slept in his car, and when he found out that we were okay, he moved on. That was Frankie.
Flat shows?
Huh?
On flat shows?
No, we were, right off flat,
Yes,
where you got
yeah.
robbed when you were working at
The Magic Market.
the Magic
Right,
Market
right.
Okay.
at gunpoint. That's another story.
Yeah, we'll come back. I want to hear that. Actually, I want to come back to that. But did you have anything else with the parent experience?
No, that was basically just, I had it enough to know that I believed that if I ever became a parent, a mother, that I had enough in me to know what was the best way to go with my children. And basically that's what I did. Now my mother didn't play, but at the same time, she never got into these kind of things where she did not have any respect for us, or especially for me. And I'll never forget when I guess about 2 weeks before she died, I was sitting on the side of the bed and she just kind of tapped me and she said, you know what's happening, don't you? And I never even acted like I knew what she was saying, but deep in my heart, I did feel that this was the signal that she knew it was not going to be long. And a few weeks later, she passed. Yes.
Yeah, I used to, I remember hearing those stories growing up, and to me, it just always seemed tough to not really have
It
parents.
was very tough.
Going through, difficult years. Those teenage years, and as you're transitioning to early adulthood, and again in the era that you were growing up, you need a lot of guidance and support, and again, I always just was kind of amazed. I'm like, wow, it has to shape a person when you don't have some of those, things. And I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit to some questions that we'll go into, but I always felt that's probably why you became an educator and were a very dedicated educator and a very dedicated mother, is because you wanted to make sure you could provide those things that maybe you didn't have an opportunity to have.
Well, becoming an educator, and I'm going to make this quick, one of the most influential persons also, beside my parents, was one of my teachers, my first grade teacher.
Miss Still?
Miss Still, yes. Miss Still had I guess you call it whatever you want, but she had the opportunity to not only be my first grade teacher, but she was all of my other siblings' first grade teachers. And by the time I came, she stayed in touch. She stayed in touch all through high school. And by the time I had got ready to graduate, she was on the phone. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I'm like, hi, Miss Still. She said, you didn't answer me. You're out of high school coming out. What are you going to do? And I said, I don't know yet. I'm just going to see. And she said, okay. She called me back about a day later and said, listen, Ted and I have something we need you to know. You've been accepted and enrolled at Morgan State University.